Many terms referencing a generalized past are but cherry-picked, culturally fed echoes from a spatio-temporal chunk of the imaginerist's choosing, sometimes in an attempt to coerce the listener into a mode of behavior by a cloaking of what the latter can seemingly not perceive firsthand in an all-encompassing phantom of eternal yore, one that has supposedly always loomed, for it is only such farces that could stand to loom in the mind, if not illuminated by the indubitable light of the eternal, which does not govern by fear and induced passivity. Old school or old-fashioned? Is one such phantom, invoked in a way that suggests some kind of perennial truth from which recent conditions have wrongly yet vainly departed, poised to be brought back in line? Blight just customs under erosive logic thus become the old ways, that which has always been, etc., while remaining yet a perversion thereof that is historically quite new or aberrational. Blight just as so-called tradition is nothing more than the perpetuation of every tradition as further run against the future, both in the distortion of what actually was, and as being according to fealty to an imagined time-space rather than the root idea that would eventually be seen as such. At the same time, however, saturative subjects of the blight just also succumb to this in their non-integral, incomplete rebellion by acknowledging this phantom past with the mere stipulation that we rise above it today and forever after, even if by smashing core principles, per the same old blight just story that it mistakes for erosion's perverted representation thereof. It is actually not fit for humans that one should conceive of a general present, or lived in era, as the only time in which their thriving and prolonging could be possible, before which their very existence would be in vain by either dint of society or perhaps all of nature. All existence and phenomena today is simply that which conditions allow, as it was in the past, and indeed, much of the past could not exist today, because it exists under such different conditions as to be thwarted by today's. If, as Hegel states, philosophy is its own time elevated to thought, then apprehension is its own philosophy bound by time. Each sentient action is, however subconsciously, a philosophy, or part of one, in a reciprocal relation to phenomena that organically evolves with time. For that matter, we can measure the veracity of concepts to a degree by the degree to which they serve the holder, and an envisioned hypothetical past of doom only poisons the present, revealing its own untenability. One of the blight just's greatest accomplishments via thought cajoling was to use the canard of cold, hard truths, to put the cart of severity before the horse of truth, to proffer only that which is cold and hard to be true, albeit in a way curiously convenient for the profferer, so that the desperate legions of resentful may flock to them in bloodlusting devotion to fulfill a depraved power fantasy. The forgetting of a truth procedure, as a comprehensive and contiguous Jacob's ladder-type process involving reasonable trials, nourishing moments, and outwardly intra-contradictory steps has infected beings beneath both of the blight just's aspects in a false dichotomy, allowing for even, especially, the crassest and most mindlessly violent and exclusionary concepts to pass for truth as such, acting really as mere signposts of extant societal privilege so that any equally severe counterpoises might be annulled by whatever already is, according to some hypocritical notion of power that says what is right is what has, seemingly, prevailed in whatever present place or moment. Actually, this division of stages into dichotomous fixed states is one symptom of the blight just. Rather, what is properly paid to the torpor of truth is calm, stolid yet compassionate absorption of the truth. We should also bear in mind that we are inevitably condemned at large to only conceive of the past in terms of its most outward forms, usually that created and perpetuated by a domineering thief. This frightening effect of such phantoms is but one symptom of collective blight just mentality that conditions the mind to fixed modes rather than an ever-dynamic and evolving, moment-to-moment reality malleable by many agents acting upon and in response to it. Notwithstanding eternal laws, their perversion via plant-like categorical terms is one of the greatest enemies of beings, though it seem for the moment necessary or insurmountable. The tendency to give in fully to this is a phrasing effect for the purpose of finaling thought and crystallizing humankind in order that an easier, more comprehensible hegemony bringing comfort to such diseased minds may emerge and so confirm their extant foul judgment of other beings. The celebration or abhorrence of distant times as such, as the basis for societal direction, are actually two sides of the same turbid counterfeit coin. Part of the legitimacy of revolution is precisely in the fact that its tenets have ancient precedent, and have thrived in various different contexts that the present blight just has at least tried to efface. Any ignorance thereto is but a symptom of the blight just's success.